Property. There are several types of property. Real property, when someone says that, they're talking about land. Personal property is something that is not land, that is tangible. You can touch it, you can pick it up, etc. Intangible property is something that you cannot touch. That is something like a contract right, an inheritance right, a right to a payment under an annuity later on, something that you don't yet have. Most often that relates to a right that hasn't yet vested and you don't yet have, but centers around money usually. Intellectual property right. Intellectual property are trademarks, copyrights, patents, licensing. And then you have mineral rights, which are similar to a real property right, but they're a subset. They are rights to oil and gas or mining or gems or things that are derived from the ground. Okay, now to transfer these things, then we have different ways to transfer them. Within personal property are things that are titled, and those are assets that are their ownership is represented by an actual document. Some now are online, but they used to all be paper. And this includes airplanes, boats, motor vehicles, which is a motorcycle, a car. Some trailers that you pull behind the car are also, some of them are titled. Maybe the I don't know what it's called, but the trailer that like a boat rides on is what I'm talking about, but also the trailer like that the U-Haul truck pulls, that's separate from the actual truck, like a box type trailer. A camper could be, depending upon. Now, so it doesn't need to have a motor always. You need to check where you live because it goes by size and things like that. And then what else? Airplane, boat, vehicle, motorcycle. I think I covered those. So anyway, so those are by a document, a certificate of title or document of title, where depending on where you live. So how that is, it is printed out. It shows either online or in tangible piece of paper. It says who owns it. So when you transfer that piece of property, you actually assign the title over somewhere on the document. And then that is notarized, and then the person who is receiving it then takes that into the official title place. For planes and things, I think it's Oklahoma City, and then every state has their own place for it's affiliated with the Department of Revenue. Sometimes it might not be where you live, and then that's where you transfer it over. Now for cars, if this is your first time, it's not where you get your driver's license. That's a separate place. So this is for the actual car itself. And then you transfer that over. If there are some places there are taxes involved, property taxes, transfer fees, etc., then you will get then the new person will get a new title to the asset in their name. Now real estate is conveyed by paper also. Everything to do with real estate needs to be in writing to be valid. That's covered elsewhere, but just to clarify that. So deed is how you would transfer a mineral right, an ownership interest, a life estate, whatever. So there are different versions of that we'll cover separately, but so that's going to be a document. Nobody can transfer real estate on a handshake. It has to be a document. So it says who the seller is and who the buyer is, and it describes the legal property, that describes the property. Sometimes it'll have an address, but there's a legal description, which is a meets and bounds or lot and block, which is how real estate is identified. I'll go into that separately on another video, but the United States is in a grid, and based upon meridians in that grid, you can identify where a piece of property is anywhere, and it's listed that way. And then intellectual property is patents and copyrights and things like that. Again, that is registered through the U.S. Patent Office, and those are also separate documents to transfer those as well. So that's your ownership and transfer.